February the 9th. About 1:30 in the afternoon. It's kind of a different kind of day, time of day for me. I usually do this, like I say, in the middle of the night. But in the middle of the night last night, I was up listening to my buddy Ike and his thought for the day. He plagiarizing my thing there, guy, but that's all right. That's what it is, thought for the day. And he, let's see, before I get into that, I'll tell you, I went out this morning, and we're going to fertilize and put some weed killer on the yard if it ever rains. The stuff we bought says it's got to rain first. So, we're supposed to get rain tonight, perhaps tomorrow. And one of the things I discovered is my handy dandy little husky lawnmower, garden tractor, quote unquote, had a flat tire on it. In fact, it went so flat, the tire wouldn't blow up. I don't know why. Well, on a garden tractor or on a lawnmower, they don't put tubes in the tires. Those are tubeless tires on that thing. And it went flat, and the tire sucked in from the rim, and I couldn't blow it back up. So I had to take it off, haul it down to my local tire fix-it shop. They were very nice. They just blew it up for nothing. Thing has got a thorn in it or something. It'll stay up about 24, 48 hours, and then it'll go down again. Temperature was pretty cold last night. I think that's why the tire sucked in and lost its grip on the rim. Anyway, while I was at the my friendly tire fix-it shop, looked at the front of the car, and I had a headlight out. Now, while I was up at Siegel North last summer, I bought a 09 Kia Spectra, and it's a nice little car. Now, I'm a Mopar guy. I mean, I've never hardly ever bought anything that didn't say Chrysler on it. But the price was right on the Kia. It was clean, no rust. 09, this is 13. I bought it in 12. That was 3 years old. There wasn't a spot of rust. I don't know if any of you have ever been to New York during the winter, but cars rust. They use copious amounts of salt on the road, and they all rust. And I remember I was looking at this car, and there was just no rust. I asked him, I said, where'd you get this thing, the Virgin Islands? Because, obviously never been on the highway in the wintertime, not up there. Anyway, bought the car, price was right, brought it back. Been a peach. Has little peccadillos that a lot of the buttons and like window switches and stuff like that, they're backwards from what I'm used to. But, you kind of get used to all that routine. Anyway, I looked at the front of my Kia today and I only had one headlight. And that was on low beam. I flipped it up. Both of them are good on high beam. So I went down to my handy dandy parts store and I bought a headlight bulb. Now you'd think, you raise the hood, reach around back there, unplug the bulb, put the new one in, boom, no sweat. Not on a Kia. Wouldn't come out. I mean, if I'd have put enough sauce on that thing to get the bulb out, I'd broke something. So I come home and I get on my computer. In fact, it's up there now. And, change bulb on 09 Spectra. How do you do it? Well, turns out that whole headlight assembly, they call it the bezel, the thing, you got to take that out to get that bulb out of there. Now, Kia is a inexpensive automobile. I hate to say cheap. But I bought it because it was cheap. But you'd figure, inexpensive, it's going to be simple. Ain't simple. I called my surrogate son, who's a mechanic. He's gone to work on the Union Pacific Railroad, and he's down in Lufkin all during the week. And he's on his way home now. And I asked him, I said, did you ever try to take the headlight bulb out of the Kia? He said, no, I haven't. I said, well, we're going to have to experiment when you get home because I've got a new bulb and I can't take it out, and it says on the the web, you got to take the whole bezel, the whole headlight assembly out in order to get at that thing. Anyway, that was not a pleasant surprise. I still like the car. But my whole attitude would change if other parts of it were as involved and intricate as changing a headlight bulb. But it will get fixed, and I'll go merrily on my way down the road. Ike, my buddy Ike, I watched his thing last night, and he did quite a bit on gay people. And Ike and I see alike on gays. Oh, I don't believe they're born that way. I think they become that way because it's like I explained to him I put a little passage on the bottom of his thought for the day that the interplay between a man and a woman, or between men and women, is kind of a competitive thing. You know, you're out there in the world doing your thing and you see this good looking honey. And of course, you know, guys are guys. You start thinking about the things you'd like to do with this little honey. And she turns you down. Goes off with some other big stud. Now, this hurts. Reminds me on what I used to say on ABC television on sports, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. Well, of course, if she smiles and says, "Come here, big boy," that's the thrill of victory. If she turns her back and goes off with some other stud, it's the agony of defeat. There's a lot of fellas out there can't cope with the agony of defeat. Really hurts them. And, you know, George, what would we say? The homosexual comes along and says, "I take care of your agony." Well, one thing leads to another. You say, "Well, shoot, I don't need that little honey. I can get all that. I get that thrill of victory elsewhere." Because George never turned me down. Well, I don't know. I don't know how else to describe my theory of how homos become homos. They turned my stomach. I hear recently there's been a big brouhaha as to whether the Boy Scouts, if you believe that, are going to allow gays to be scoutmasters. Boy, if there's anybody with lick of sense out there, that is not going to be allowed. I think there's probably enough of them in the Boy Scouts already. I knew a fella that I always suspected of being a pedophile, and he was a big guy in the Boy Scouts. Anywho, they turned my stomach. It's the chemistry in human race is that men are men and women are women, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Anything other than that's an aberration, and that I'm not a big Bible scholar. My Christianity attitude tends to be more agnostic than anything else, so I don't go around quoting the Bible as to what the rules these people are breaking. I just think, for lack of a better description, old Mother Nature meant it to be one way, and anything else is an aberration. So that's my thoughts on that. What else going on? My antenna up there, Brian Cooter, for those of you that are familiar, I have a large antenna array up there in the air, about 70 feet. And it's big enough that when the wind blows, it tends to bend. It has a boom. It's about 40 some odd feet long. And when the wind blows, that boom will bend. Doesn't bend and crimp, but it bends. My buddy Brian put a device up there, cross member ropes, front and fore and aft, took the bend out. Looking up there today, wind's blowing a little bit. One of the ropes is coming loose, losing its tension, It ain't bending. But at some point here in the not too distant future, we're going to have to lay that thing over and snug things up a bit. Because due to the fact that we used this modification and we built the antenna to rather excessive size, as long as the modification works, then, wind doesn't matter. But it looks like the modification's kind of deteriorating, so I expect it'll be all right for a good long time. But anyway, it's kind of stretching out. What else going on? It's cold today here at Siegel South. They were talking about tornadoes, and I think the temperature's down in the 40s. I never heard of a 40 degree tornado. Now off to the east, where the cold front hadn't gone through, that they might have some tornadoes, but that would be, I suspect, Georgia, Alabama, those southern states. Anyway, I noticed on my list of subscriptions that a fellow by the name of Steve has subscribed. I hope, Steve, that you enjoy my pontificating. That's basically all I do. I get on here, if I have an opinion, I run my mouth about it. Oh, by the by, Ike once again said that I'm a Democrat with principles. He's probably right. That's pretty accurate. I grew up in a Republican household. My dad was county sheriff from 1933 to 1963, and he was always prominent in the Republican Party where we lived, and I was a Republican. But then I got away from home and I came to Texas, and I discovered that if I wasn't connected with that horsepower that dear old Dad had, things were different for me. Got out in the world, became what you might be considered a laboring guy, and I became active in the labor movement. Worked for the post office. I was the president of my local for about 5 years. I was at one point for about 5 years. I was the executive vice president, educational director for the state of Texas. And in that capacity, if I was going to be true to what I was preaching, I had to be a Democrat. It just fit. So I have been ever since. And this kind of thing stays with you. I've more or less investigated the political philosophy of the two parties over the years, and I think the Democrats got a lock on it. Now they're not always right. It's like having a union. A lot of times, you go into a shop that's got a union and they keep a lot of dead weight on. People at work have to carry the other ones, and that can apply in the Democratic Party. But when it comes to the general welfare and the overall happiness of the American public, I think the Democrats are the only way to go. I think the Republicans are a bunch of Nazis, but that's just my opinion. Anywho, what else is going on? I turned into an Indian giver, like some years ago. I gave Josh my 2517 because it didn't work. Couldn't make it stay up. Well, Josh had it, I don't know, maybe 4 years, 3 years, something like that. Got it working. I got my radio back. Boy, you talk about a low-life Indian giver, but it's here. I got my baby back. Josh, there it is right there. Josh went to the trouble. By the by, if you've still got yours, we think we've discovered what's wrong with them. There's a component in there that heats up, and Cooter installed a fan inside the radio to keep that component cool. It hadn't burned up yet, and I've been using it now for a month or two, just whenever a fancy struck me, and it hadn't quit, which is great because they're a fine radio, other than the fact they break. you'd think that Galaxy or whoever the ones that build and design that thing would be aware of the fact that they are all going down. Redneck had one, his went down, yours went down, mine went down. Same item, same thing happened. So it's a flaw in the design. But anyway, between Kilgore and Cooter, they figured out the flaw and evidently a way to fix it. So if you care to, I'll get Cooter to send you a note or something about what it is, because I don't know the mechanics of it. Anyway, I got a one-eyed Kia out there that I can't get the headlight out of. If it rains tonight, I plan on putting down about 120 pounds of fertilizer, weed killer, whatever. And I don't like queers. That ought to do it. Oh, by the way, I can understand you moving to East Texas. I would ask you how your daddy-in-law is. I haven't talked to you in a while. And you moving to East Texas and him being sick led me to assume something that might be incorrect. So let me know how he is. And I know you like it down there in East Texas, of course. I know there was one aspect of it that you weren't nuts about. But I think you got relatives down there, so it should be a good fit. Anyway, that's my thought for the day. And I hope you folks up there in Siegel North don't get blown away. Boy, I mean, I've been watching the Weather Channel and the cable news, and it's rough up there. Now, it appears it's a lot rougher out close to the coast. But as you and I both know, up there at Randolph and the Little Valley and Franklinville and those places up there, Siegel North, it can be a buggeroo. So hope it's not a buggeroo for you. Anyway, have a fine one, and we'll try to think of something further to say in the future.